morning and welcome to another episode of Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they have the 24 merry days of Christmas on the app.
And you're running out of days, so you better download the app now and get your specials while you can.
Let's talk about the Pro Bowl, because a lot of people are talking about the Pro Bowl because they only talk about the Pro Bowl except when it actually happens, right?
Yeah, nobody actually watches the Pro Bowl. They just talk about the guys who made the Pro Bowl, which ends up being half the league once other guys back out.
Are you all right with the 6 that were taken initially from the Steelers?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. If people talk about Juju, but if you look at the receivers that were taken, I mean, is he having a better year than, say, a Keenan Allen or some of the other guys that made it? I know people say, well, he's got better numbers than Antonio Brown, but Antonio Brown's still the best receiver on this football team.
And draws
I know you
the
wrote
most
differently
attention.
a couple weeks ago.
I know.
He gets the attention. If you ask opponents which receiver is the one that scares them the most, they're going to tell you Antonio Brown.
They will, and they don't have to say it. They show it with their schemes. And until we see that, if we were to see that reversed,
now it's getting closer.
It's getting closer.
That's because Juju has gotten that much better.
He really has, and Ben's trusting him to his credit. The one that bothers me is Joe Hayden. It just does.
If you look at the cornerback position in the AFC, you got Jalen Ramsey, and I mean, we looked at it today or yesterday on Steelers Nation Radio, and I looked at the four corners. And I said, yeah, Joe Hayden, but what about Tre'Davious White?
Yeah.
He's really good as well. He didn't make it. I mean, there's a lot of good corners in the AFC. Not as deep in the NFC, but it was really good. Really good group.
I see Hayden as the defensive MVP with all due respect to Cam Hayward.
If he had more interceptions, he'd have a bigger case.
Exactly. Steelers rookie class has been kind of a slow developing. Is that the fairest way to describe them?
Well, I mean, some of those guys, and when you have a good football team, you're not going to need huge, a lot of things from your rookie class. I think they've gotten what they've wanted to out of Terrell Edmunds. I think they've gotten more than what they actually wanted to get out of Terrell Edmunds. The idea was to play Morgan Burnett and have him ease into it.
Yeah.
And the
He's
one guy,
outplayed Burnett.
The one guy that you could look at and say, well, they haven't gotten what they hope to get out of him will be James Washington.
Right.
But he had a good game on Sunday.
He really did. I mean, all that stuff. I know a lot of people were making fun of people like me and you reporting from Latrobe. Oh, this guy's going up, combat catches. He's coming down with everything. And then when they actually would lay eyes on him, it was like, where was that? That catch on Sunday
what you saw Sunday was what he has been doing.
And what he's capable of doing, a really low percentage play that he went up.
Even more than that. We've seen way better catches than that.
Yeah.
In training camp and practices. He is a guy that catches the football.
Now, but Edmunds, though, on that same note, we also saw him in camp and in the preseason get his hand on the ball. He was a playmaker. He looked like a playmaker. He still has another level, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And it's not uncommon for rookie defensive backs to struggle like that because you got so much going on in your head in terms of, I got to be in the right position. I got to be in the right spot. We saw it with Troy Polamalu in his rookie year. He was a shadow of the player that he became, but he still contributed. Edmunds has contributed even more than Polamalu, and I'm not suggesting that he's going to be the next Troy Polamalu. Let's not say that. But I think I've seen enough flashes of solid play, and again, a lot of solid play on Sunday from him, matching up a lot of times with Rob Gronkowski, to where you look at this kid and say his athleticism is off the charts. I think in terms of the above the neck play is really solid, and I think he gets it. So I think he's going to be a good player.
And Chooks has been out there in his own way participating. He obviously had the one game that he was allowed to show his stuff in, and did. And the Jalen Samuels comes along.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Just when you needed it, they got a solid rushing effort out of a guy who, quite frankly, isn't really a running back.
Isn't that the craziest thing?
I said today to David Castro, or yesterday to David DeCastro, this is a guy who only had 12, his career high in college was 12 carries. And DeCastro looked at me like I had 6 heads. He goes, I had no idea. What are you talking about? That was his career high in college.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy.
He saw the holes and he hit them. We'll see what he does against a team that's maybe a little bit better at defending the run than New England. Now, have you noticed that we've been talking about actual football as it relates to the Steelers lately? There hasn't been a whole lot of drama, at least not since the broken X-ray machine in Oakland.
And even that was kind of a football thing.
So all of the drama has instead been on the other side of the river with the hockey team now with, Pascal Dupuis making his remarks about Mike Sullivan not liking Evgeny Malkin or whatever the rift or
Sidney
however you
Crosby
want to
tweeted,
describe
"Trade
it.
me, let's find out."
Something like that. Trade me, let's find out. Maybe the X-ray machines are getting busted up at PPG Paints Arena too. But isn't this illustrative of a point that you and I make an awful lot in our writings? This stuff happens everywhere.
It really does. And when you have star players who are more under the microscope, it gets magnified that much more. So
Should.
As it should, right? If it's your 53rd guy on your roster or your third string goalie on your hockey team that's having an issue, nobody cares.
No, or for that matter, if the team isn't particularly good,
nobody cares.
Yeah, you don't have. I mean, or very few people. And this isn't to pick on the Pirates here, but they don't have stars anymore. They have some good players, but they don't have out-and-out stars. So you're not going to have a controversy coming from, oh, listen to what so-and-so said over at PNC Park, because it just doesn't, there's not that gravitation, there's not that magnifying that happens with it.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. And so the better you are, the more media attention you get, the more scrutiny you put yourself or you're open to. And that, of course, leads itself to controversy.
And the coach, in turn, and again, you cover these every Tuesday at noon, has to answer for it, or in Mike Tomlin's case, elects not to. Yeah, he'll just
do a really good job of not
guys, I told you, I don't look at social media, I don't whatever. Well, Mike Sullivan chose to address it. He got upset with Dupuis and said he was disappointed. He felt that the remarks that he made were irresponsible. Where does the coach? Should the coach just kind of let that stuff go? Because Tomlin does. Yeah. He just, I mean, look at the way Tomlin handled Rocky Bleier.
Right.
He just went, we respect those guys. They have the right to say what they want, and that's that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that is the way to handle it, especially when it's in a situation like that, where it's a former player, whether it be Rocky Bleier or Terry Bradshaw saying things. They have the right to an opinion like everybody else. I can understand where Sullivan would be disappointed with a former player
who was in the locker room. That's, I think, the thing that bothered Sully the most, is that Dupuis was in the locker room over the weekend. So it's like he went in there, they invited him in, they had his kids in there, his youth hockey team, and then first chance he gets, he's on French TV telling everybody what he heard in the locker room. I think that's the separator between the Bradshaw and Rocky and so forth.
Yeah, and there's some of that. I mean, the Steelers understand that when guys go into the media after their careers are over, they're going to have to be critical, because that's you have to have some kind of credibility.
Bill Cowers had to do it.
Right. But again, to your point, talking about things that you learned while you were there, that does leave a different feeling. I mean, you can say, hey, maybe this is happening, maybe there's better ways to couch that than the way that it was done.